Hey guys, so we're back here with another video, and today's video is going to be on a topic we haven't covered in quite some time: cigar accessories, particularly cigar cases. So what spurred this video is that I got a brand new cigar case, and I noticed that there's really not a lot on the internet about this case in terms of like reviews or whatever. So for anybody who's familiar with it, on the fence about it, or anything else about cases, that's what this video is for. But instead of just straight up reviewing that case, I'm going to show you guys some couple alternatives at varying levels of like quality and use case. So this way you guys can make an informed decision for yourself. So before we get into the star attraction, we're going to start here. So this is what I like to call my Amazon special. So what this is an Amansi travel humidor. It also came from Amazon with this cutter, which is actually a very nice, very high quality cutter, I will say. And this lighter, which while it is out of fluid currently, is actually very reliable. As you can see, the outside is this faux crocodile skin polyurethane. Inside is rather unique. So we have Spanish cedar. So you have a Spanish cedar tray inside a Spanish cedar tray with more Spanish cedar in the back here. And then you have the name Amansi. And then you have more of that faux crocodile with magnetic buttons here. It's all magnetic. And this thing is sturdy. Because of all the wood in it, it is extremely sturdy. You can rest assured your cigars are going to be safe inside this case. So the way this case works, I mentioned that it's a travel humidor. The way this works is you take propylene glycol or an 84% Boveda or whatever you want to use, and then you condition or season this thing several days before you actually want to use it. And then you would throw your cigars in here. You have this nice little 4-finger tray, which can hold some pretty decent sized cigars. I believe up to like a 60 ring gauge. And then throw in a Boveda pack just for, constant humidity. And this thing's good to go for a good 2 or 3 days. Maybe even a week if you push it. All things considered, I believe this was somewhere between 35 and 40 bucks. Well worth the money. Looks great. Has a nice and classy look. Had this thing for several years now. As you can see, no rips, tears. It's not looking worse for wear. I've taken this thing on trips, traveled with it. It's pretty good. For most people, this option here is enough. This will suffice. This right here is probably as much money as any normal person will ever need to spend on a cigar case. But if you're like me and you're obsessed with not half-assing things, going all the way, exploring your options, and you like luxury, then this is a step up in most ways, except one very important way, which we'll cover. So this here is the Peter James Modi case. So this thing is 100% leather, inside and out. All this is leather. No skimping, no polyurethane, no faux leather. 100% leather. I believe these zippers are YKK, but they're very heavy duty. Haven't had any issues with them the entire time I've had this case. I bought this last year. So this is a mint green or Tiffany green color on this leather. So here you have a larger compartment where you can put lighters, cards, wallets, bills, whatever you want to put there. Then you have these smaller pockets where you could also put lighters, cutters. Nice tan leather, contrasting that green. Here you have a pocket where you can put a pen. I like to put my perfect draw in here. And then here is the area for your cigars. So as you can see, it's rigid here, because the first few Peter James designs were not rigid, and people worried about how well this thing could protect their cigars. But this is actually very strong here, very rigid, as you can see. Awesome case, very solid materials, very good build quality. I take this thing everywhere. This is my daily driver. I take this thing to work with me. I work in utilities. I work in the field. I'm around dirt. I'm in ditches. Obviously, this thing's not necessarily in all those places with me, but I take this to work. It sits in CDL trucks. It goes the distance. I usually have this thing actually in my pack, which is an Air Duffel Pack 3. And this, as far as portability, is awesome. Protects my cigars, fits wherever I need it to fit. And again, it's pretty rugged. It's a pretty rugged design with how this leather is. It's breaking in, so it does still feel like softer to the touch, and you could tell that it is real leather. But at the same time, again, extremely durable. I don't worry about scratching it. I don't worry about cutting it. And I have no qualms taking this with me in some of the most harsh environments. Pretty awesome, but also not cheap. Unlike this travel humidor here, which costs about 35 to 40 bucks, this literally costs about 10 times more. This case costs anywhere between $350 and $450. I can't exactly remember what the MSRP on this was. And I also didn't pay MSRP, so there's that. But despite that 10x price increase, even though you are getting genuine leather, very solid, very rugged materials and build, the one advantage that this has over this is that this is not a travel humidor. This is just a case. Yes, you can throw a Boveda pack in here with your cigars and they'll probably be fine for a day or maybe even a few days, but ultimately this thing's not designed to hold in any kind of humidity. This, on the other hand, has one negative drawback, and that's that ideally you need to season this. And if you're not using this on a regular and keeping it properly humidified on a regular, then you're going to have to re-season it at least a few days prior to knowing that you're going to use it, which means that you need to know that you're going to use it. Also, this 4-finger design here, you can just remove this tray, and then that gives you a bit more space to put fatter ring gauge cigars or more cigars. But also, this thing's pretty short, so you can't really fit anything over about a 6-inch cigar in this. Whereas this, you can fit upwards of an 8-inch cigar. Now, this option, which is a step up from the other Peter James case, is kind of the best of both worlds here. So, you have this box, and then in here, we have this. This is actually Alcantara. This is just a cover. Removing that, here we have the Peter James Alcantara Black Label Travel Humidor. Now, this is significantly more expensive than either of the prior two options. So, just to recap, 35 to 40 bucks, 350 to 450 bucks, $1,500. So this is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But what you're getting for that money is top tier construction, top notch materials. This is 100% handmade. Every stitch takes roughly 60 hours for Italian craftsmen to by hand construct one of these. This is Italian calfskin leather on the outside. And red Alcantara in this case on the inside. And then so you have more of this Italian calfskin leather here adorning all of these different pockets and compartments with red Alcantara contrasting the inside of those. So here we have another one of those bigger pockets as you saw in the Modi case, with also card slots this time. Still magnetic enclosures, which you also had on the Modi case, and you also had that on the cheaper Amansi case. So in here, you could put an extra cutter, some credit cards, some cash, whatever you want to put there, business cards. Here, you see I have my Calibri Julius lighter. So let's go ahead and get that out. This is a brand new case, by the way, so I'm still breaking this in. Over here, we have my Cigar spring-loaded V cutter. Then we have a Jetline triple torch that I just keep up here, making use of that extra headspace because this is a bit taller than this Modi case over here. Over here on the side, since we don't have that middle pocket, although you could slide this in there, it's a bit tight. We have our perfect draw. Then we have our compartment for our cigars here, which again, you can fit up to, I believe, 4 60 ring gauge cigars that are, I believe, up to 8 inches long. And then another difference is that back here, you have a compartment for your Boveda. So that's a 75% Boveda back there. And then you have holes in here so that your Boveda, as you can see some of the color popping through there, you can see this is how your Boveda is going to keep your cigars humidified. And then on top of that, let's zip this back up real quick. You have rubber almost acting like a gasket over top of the zippers, which help minimize humidity loss through the zipper. So this particular travel humidor here is actually a certified travel humidor. Unlike this case here, which you can put a Boveda in, you know, just to help keep your cigars properly humidified, this has actually been tested by Boveda in conjunction with Peter James. So with a 60 gram, 75% Boveda pack, this case is capable of maintaining humidity in the mid to upper 60s for, on average, 49 days. Now, obviously, your use case is going to differ. How new and saturated your Boveda pack is, how often you're opening and closing this thing, how many cigars you're keeping in there. So your usage will vary, but on average, you're going to get 49 days. So for almost 2 months, you can keep cigars in here with the 75% Boveda pack, and they're going to maintain mid to upper 60s humidity, which is nice because with this case, I pretty much have to take cigars in and out of here on a daily basis. And with this case, I have to either maintain the humidity by constantly keeping it seasoned, or I have to know ahead of time that I'm even going to use this travel humidor. So this way I can prep it and season it so that it's ready. So again, this is the best of both worlds. And while this is also 100% genuine leather, as you guys can see, this is much softer, more supple. And this thing smells amazing. I just got this in today and it smells phenomenal. The leather smell coming off of this thing is, oh man, absolutely love it. It's like a brand new Italian leather coat or some shoes. It smells amazing. Now this case is phenomenal. And from a price standpoint, this is more than anybody should ever spend on a case for their cigars, period. I mean, this case right here is probably more than enough for 99% of normal, sane people and is right around the price that any regular person should spend on a cigar case. And you'll probably have this thing forever. You really don't need to upgrade from this, to be honest. This is for people like myself. This is for people with a problem, okay? but this is everything you want it to be. It's actually very rigid, very structurally sound, despite being softer, more supple leather than the green Modi case over there. I feel like my cigars are legitimately protected, but at the same time, I feel like this thing is very compact and ultimately is going to be easy to carry. I feel like it's also very stylish. This thing feels great in the hands. It looks appealing and pleasing to the eye. It's very classy. And is it worth the MSRP price tag? I would honestly say no. Not through any fault of Peter James or the case itself. This is an immaculately designed, built, and exceptionally well marketed case. This is exactly what I expected it to be. I'm extremely happy with this case, and I have a feeling I'm going to be happy with this thing for years to come. But $1,500 is a lot. It's a lot to ask, even if this is 100% hand built, even if the craftsmanship is phenomenal on this. Okay, guys, so there you have it. You have 3 different cases with different use cases at different price ranges. You have your Amazon special, which is more than most cigar smokers will ever need. Covers all your bases, reasonably priced, probably the upper limit of what one should spend on a proper cigar case. Then you have your significantly more expensive luxury option for the person who just has money burning a hole in their pocket. And then here you have your uber luxury option, absurdly priced, for the connoisseur who wants the absolute best that the world has to offer, while also having a ridiculous amount of money burning a hole in their wallet that they just don't mind setting on fire. That's it, guys. That's been my review of all 3 of these cases, but in particular, the Peter James Alcantara Black Label. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. Catch you on the next one.